goal at this point is to control him, get his hands up, get him complying. That's my goal. I see him, his eyes are just as big as $half or even bigger, just like a deer in a headlight. And then I see him playing, fumbling, doing something in his lap. There's none of this. There's none of this. It's this. And he's looking at me the whole time. And then it happens.
What happens?
He sticks the gun out the window and points it at me.
Okay. How does he stick the gun out the window?
If I'm sitting in the driver's seat, where would my... So he just went just like that.
Okay.
And it was between the mirror and the A-post.
Okay.
Well, actually, if I'm driving...
Exactly.
I'm sorry. If I'm driving, the driver's side is... The door is here. So he did this.
Okay. Because you had him moving...
Excuse me.
...further into the passenger compartment.
No, that was completely...
Right.
That was my mix-up in the side. It was the right side that he did it with, and then he put the gun between the window and the A-post.
You said right side again.
Left side. I'm dyslexic.
Are you dyslexic?
No,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't. That was a bad joke.
What did you do at that point?
I let a round off at the suspect.
Okay. Do you recall how many rounds?
Just one at that time.
Okay. And where did it strike?
The hood and windshield area, right in front of him.
And how many muzzle flashes did you see in total at scene 2?
At least the initial, at least one, and possibly two. I can't count them. I can't tell you how many exactly I saw.
This was before you fell?
Yes.
Okay. And then after you fell, how many muzzle flashes did you see?
4.
Several.
Okay. And I remember you saying at some point that you heard dink dink or dink dink dink. You heard shots land around you. Is that a correct reflection?
That's correct.
Okay. How many times did you hear some evidence of something hitting around you, meaning that bullet being fired around you?
At least once or twice.
Okay. If a gun misfires and no projectile goes out, is there a muzzle flash?
Check to form.
No. I was committed to engaging him, and I did that. At which point, my ankle rolled off the curb, and I fell on my back.
Okay.
A lot of people do it, so like they don't mean to do it, but this was a happenstance that had happened, like a kind of a mechanism of how I was falling. I was falling and still shooting, so somehow the gun jammed from limp wristing it.
Okay. Do you know by the time that you fell how many shots you had fired?
4.
And what did you have to do to alleviate the jam of the gun?
I chose to do a combat reload, which is just basically put another magazine in,
Okay.
clear the malfunction, and put another mag in.
Okay. Were you being fired upon at that point?
He had the gun out the window, and he was pulling the trigger.
I think you indicated that while you were down or falling, there were several rounds that were fired at you, or you saw several muzzle flashes?
Yes.
Okay. How do you define several?
Check to form.
1 or 2. 2 probably.
Okay. Several's not one.
Yeah.
We agree to that. Is several more than 2?
Check to form.
I would say 2.
Okay.
So we'll say a couple.
Okay. Are those the shots that you heard around you,
Check to form.
land around you? Or were there other shots that you heard land around you?
Check to form.
My perception at the time was yes.
That those were the shots that landed around you?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand how many times you recall that gun being fired. And I've got about 2, and then at a separate, separate timeline, a little further down, several, but now that several's 2 as well. Is that accurate?
I'd have to, can I look in this deposition? Because
You want to refresh your recollection of
Sure,
what you said prior?
that'd be
That's
great.
fine.
It doesn't specify. It says that I heard tick, tick, tick on the pavement.
In your deposition, you discussed dust. Tell me about that.
Form.
Was there dust at scene 2?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Form.
There was dust at scene 2.
And I understand there may have been dust on the ground, but did the dust become airborne?
Yes, from the suspect's vehicle spinning in the grass, which was dry, created a plume of dust.
Okay. Did the dust settle? That's what we say. Before you got out of your car?
No,
Okay, so there was still some dust in the air.
correct.
Did it affect your visibility?
No. The spotlight on my vehicle I was able to really quickly ascertain what was going on through the dust.
Okay. When did the dust settle?
Objective form.
Still hasn't settled. I guess it never really did. I mean, that I remember.
Okay. And by dust settling, I mean it going back to the ground.
Correct. I mean, it was in the air the whole time.
Okay. Because this was about a 30-second deal.
Correct.
So the dust was staying in the air. Okay. My understanding that this guy named Bynum was trying to. Marvin Jones had an outstanding warrant out of state. Were you aware of that?
Yes, I was.
Were you aware of that at the time?
No.
Okay. When you went to pull over.
Actually, strike that. Yes, I was aware of that.
Okay. Let me back up then. When you went to pull over the Lincoln, did you run the tag?
Yes, I called a tag out.
Okay. And what response did you get?
I can't remember that.
Okay. Did you, before you engaged, before you got out of your car and engaged Marvin Jones, did you know anything about him or his background?
Just the fact that he might have some felony warrants out of New Hampshire.
How did you learn that?
Apparently, somebody called from New Hampshire to rat him out. Say that he was going to be at, this is the story I got, say that he was going to be at picking this girl up at the airport, and he was in this vehicle.
Okay, so you knew that before you got out of your car.
That was hubbub on the radio prior to even engaging him. Anybody engaging him.
Okay. What do you mean hubbub on the radio?
That was talk on the radio. That was I think that came in at the same time that we were learning that information the same time the whole gun incident happened in the airport.
That there was somebody, tell me again, or tell me what you heard.
That there was a guy waving a gun, and that this person, like I said, it was learned all at the same time that he had possible felony warrants out of New Hampshire.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
What threat was posed to the safety of an officer or other person at the point you first got out of your car?
There was none.
Okay. What threat to an officer or other was posed when you first drew your firearm?
There was none.
What threat to an officer or other was posed when you got out of your car, when you took a step towards the Lincoln?
Object to form.
At this point, the defendant's actions.
Okay. Which were what?
Fumbling around on his, making very furtive movements.
Okay.
Kept looking at me. Very suspicious.
Okay. Have you ever been reprimanded or even so much as sat down and talked to involving any insensitivities or issues related to race?
Object to form.
I was accused one time
What
to
happened?
the venue. She couldn't drive her car down there, and she was just pitching a huge fit. So she fabricated a story, and it was that we were racist.
Okay.
And that we had several times called her, because she accused him of the same thing. And it wasn't a race thing like they made it out to be. It was just the fact that you're young, you haven't really done anything, and it ended up where he was putting his finger in my chest, touching me, telling me I'm going to respect him because I got a badge. He said, I got a badge, and you're going to respect me. That ended up into a shove by me. He came back. We ended up tussling. I mean, he's a relatively smaller kid. I had the complete physical and weight advantage on him. There was never any punches thrown. It was a physical shoving match that when he speared me, his head went in here. Of course, I grabbed him, and then there's the bruises came from there's wooden benches in the locker room. Well, I could feel his head bouncing off that wood as we hit the ground because I had no control. At one point, he hit his emergency button on his radio, basically saying to come help me because I'm getting my butt kicked by Mersereau. And that was it. I mean, I said, "Are we done?" He says, "Yeah, we're done." And and again, it was all about respect with him. All about respect. He played the victim card very well.
Did you have your duties as a canine handler revoked or rescinded at any point?
Yes, I did.
What happened or why?
Form of objection.
In my opinion,
Yes.
I was doing my job too well.
What does that mean?
It means I was beating the streets and I was catching bad guys.
Okay.
There wasn't a lot of bad guys that got away from me
Because your dog got him?
because we got them as a team.
Okay. How was that communicated to you that you were being disciplined because of use of the canine?
Some kind of
Form of objection. Go ahead.
bite ratio. I don't know. There's a national bite ratio, 30%. And if you have an above average bite ratio, that means you could be using your dog too much.
Okay.
A bite ratio is how many people you apprehend and then how many people you dog bite during that apprehension. So they're saying 30%. So they're saying out of 10 people that you apprehend, you should bite 3 of them, let's say,
Okay.
which never made any sense to me.
When was your canine handler duties taken away?
Late 2011. As a matter of fact, December 23rd, 2011.
Okay. December 23rd. Why does that date stick out?
Worst day of my life.
Did
I enjoyed the job. I would have paid the city to come do that job. Tracking down bad guys and finding them and apprehending them.
Did you apprehend good guys?
Detective form.
Never. I take that back. I bet a victim one time because she jumped in front of me. So I did. I bet a victim one time.
Was that another officer?
No, it was a victim, a domestic violence victim.
Was there an officer bitten?
Never. I've never bitten an officer.
Okay.
My dog has never bitten an officer.
Right, and that's fine, as long as we clarify it once. The one that was innocent, that was a domestic violence case, was that the one with the apple in her hand or something involving an apple?
Form.
No, that was another officer.
Okay.
And if you knew her, the rhetoric behind her is the dog never bit her. The dog was trying to bite the apple in her hand. The dog never put teeth on her at all. He tried to grab the apple.
But she claimed that the dog bit her.
But
right?
never injured.
Did she claim that is Iko?
Iko.
Iko. A-E...
E-I-K-O.
E-I-K-O. She claims Iko bit her.
Sure.
Okay. Right before this shooting, or before the incident involving Marvin Jones, there was an issue with an air card. What happened in that?
Objective form.
A new sergeant flexing his stripes. That's what happened there. A new sergeant flexing his stripes.
What does that mean?
It means he had power now, and he was going to he was going to do whatever he was going to do. It was an email that could have been cleared up with a phone call. An email that I deleted because I don't know anything about an air card. I was told to take an air card from a computer in the computer lab, from the computer girl. I took it. I wrote it down. I documented it. She said, just keep that one. I'm going to put another one in there. Well, in the meantime, this new sergeant, is trying to find this air card, and he puts an email out, a department-wide email. Well, I don't know anything about a stolen air card, so I hit delete. Well, the next thing I know, he's sending me second and third emails. Well, now I'm reading them, and I replied back to him, but he still wrote me up for insubordination.
Do you recall in 2011 a person named Justin Riddle claiming you did an unauthorized strip search or use of force on them?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that one.
On Mason Avenue?
I think so. Tell me about what you recall.
I don't recall much of that. Other than dopers hide.
What's
They're dopers, criminals,
What's
people who sell drugs, hide their drugs under their testicles and
Okay.
in compartments in their underwear.
Do you need supervisor authority to conduct a strip search?
Yes, sir.
Did you obtain supervisor authority before you searched Justin Riddle?
No, sir.
Did you receive counseling or did a supervisor talk to you about that and tell you did that portion incorrectly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. March 2011, there was a newspaper article about a lawyer that claimed you used excessive force. Do you recall that incident?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that.
Form objection.
Forget his name. He's from Tavares. He was, Roe. He was hammered. He was drunk.
Oh yeah, I remember this one. This is the one where you were alleged to have gone in a home without permission, like moved somebody's arm. You recall that incident? What happened there?
Objective form.
I was on K-9. We were looking for, they're twins. There's two of them. And I forget their names, but we saw one on the bed through the window. And I'm like, that's him. That's him. But this is before I knew he had a twin or a brother. So he had a felony warrant.
The twin did.
No,
The one of them.
the one of them had a felony
The
warrant.
guilty one, not the
Yes.
innocent one.
So the mother's there, and got the place surrounded, and basically, she said, "You're not coming in." Well, he's in there. We can see him in there. We can force entry on a felony warrant if we see the person and we confirm it's him. I eat that one. That was my responsibility all day long, for not knowing that it's the brother. They do look different. If I had seen his face, maybe paid attention to his haircut. Yeah, that one was an unfortunate mistake on my part. Whether or not, I'm pretty wide. So whether or not she felt pressed up against the wall, I didn't. There was nothing intentional.
Do you recall telling her something to the effect of, it wouldn't be pretty if she didn't get out of your way?
Yeah, maybe. I'm trying to get into this house to get this felon.
Would that be simple battery? Simple battery.
Objective form.
Yes. If a person touches somebody that's unwanted, or it could be considered resisting an officer. If that had been the brother, she could have gone to jail for resisting.
But it wasn't the brother, and she told you it wasn't the brother, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And to get paid for watching your dog. That's what they do. Some people before me and during my tenure as a canine handler, that's what they do. They'll back in somewhere and they'll wait for that burglar alarm, which happens 5 times a night. Other than that, they're watching a movie. That's not my way. It's not what I do.
What's your way?
My way is I did everything as a canine handler. It wouldn't be nothing out of the realm of me to go take a 43 retail theft. I wrote 10 tickets a night. And then that's on top of all my canine duties. So if there was a bad guy to be found, I was doing it. That's the guy. That's what I was doing.
Okay. Did you ever arrest a good guy?
Form.
Did I ever arrest a good guy?
Yeah.
Not that I can recall.
So, Deputy Chief Bears, am I pronouncing that correct?
Bears.
Bears.
Yeah, Bears.
Audit.
Bears.
Okay. Issued you a memo about his perception of your misuse of canines. Is that a fair?
That's fair.
Okay. A fair characterization of that, not necessarily what you did or didn't do. Do you agree with that characterization?
Form.
Okay.
No, I don't. This comes from a liberal chain of command who got mad at me chasing a fleeing felon into a dumpster. Empty dumpster. You jump in the dumpster, police canine, come on, I'm going to be dog bit. No answer. Okay.
You sent the dog in?
That's what he's for. I'm giving you warnings. So he just made such a big deal about, why didn't I do something different? Well, like shake the dumpster upside down. What'd you want me to do? That's the kind of thing that I was dealing with. Every decision I made to dog bite somebody, there could have been a better answer from a certain captain or a certain 2 captains at that time. Like there could have been something else could have been done, and they exploited that, and it was just it was horrific.
Is it fair to say that they want to keep the suspects safer?
Form.
I guess it's fair to say.
They want to preserve more of their civil rights?
Form.
And that's how cops get killed. Second guessing themselves and not taking action when it should be taken.
Would a offender in a dumpster, what threat did an offender in a dumpster present to you?
Form.
If he had a gun, there could have been a million different things go wrong in there.
Did you ever find out did you apprehend that offender?
I did.
Because of the dog?
Correct.
Was he armed?
No.
Okay. Explain for me what you mean by liberal chain of command.
Objective form.
I guess to them, a dog biting a person was never okay. There was always another answer.
Is there? Do you disagree with that?
No, I don't.
Objective form.
No, I don't.
Okay. What else could have been done? Let's just stick with the dumpster. What else could have been done in that incident to, besides putting your dog in the dumpster, to apprehend that individual?
Objective form.
Hindsight's always 20/20.
Okay. Would you say the same thing about, if I asked you that question about the Marvin Jones incident?
Objective form.
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't say hindsight's 20/20?
No, I wouldn't.
If you had to do it all over again, you wouldn't call a supervisor?
No,
Objective form.
no,
You wouldn't coordinate with your fellow officers?
Objective form.
no, sir.
You would have, in every replay of this, you would have Miss Bailey wind up paralyzed?
Objective form.
No, sir.